Шановні колеги,
Dear colleagues, good afternoon. We continue our working day. We'll talk about the transfer of the first batch of camouflage and fatigues to the Ukrainian military. Vadym Kodachigov, head of the Civic Initiative Council Volonterskyi Voyenprom, will talk to us. Bohdan Kovalyov, who is a representative of the Ministry of Defense, and Georgy Tuka, head of the board of the Narodny Tyl, People's Rear organization. Hello, friends. Our press conference is about transfer of the first batch of the humanitarian aid within the framework of not only for ourselves action event. So we bought the first batch of military uniform, fatigues and camouflage. Here you see only a small part of it. Today they will be loaded and taken to the front line. As far as the distribution of the humanitarian aid is concerned, Volonterskyi Descent Charity Foundation assumes responsibility. Today we will sign the Transfer Act, and at the moment you see the goods that our Ukrainian enterprises make from practically all is made from Ukrainian material. And the event is a double-barreled. First is to help our guys on the front line, and second to provide for the creation of jobs. I mean those textile enterprises that produce goods for us. They get contracts and they can pay salaries and hire people. Then the relay will be taken by Narodny Tyl, and the entire batch of humanitarian aid will be overseen by Georgy Tuka. There is footwear for our fighters. Have a look. We've developed, together with an Italian Zenkis factory, footwear with hydrophobe skin, natural skin, 6 hours of holding off moist. They are analogous to the German Bundes footwear, and they cost 950 hryvnia a pair. It is recommended to be sold in all the shops, and we categorically ban to sell them at a price more than 950. And the second part of the batch is a uniform, combat fatigues. You see it on myself. This is an analog of our military uniform with some improvements. We've taken off all that is not needed, and we added everything that we meant that is necessary. And now I pass the floor to the Volonterskyi Voyenprom of the Ministry of Defense. Hello, I'm Bohdan Kovalyov. I'm a representative of the Volonterskyi Descent, and I oversee the voluntary processes connected to the Ministry of Defense. You probably heard about the Canadian humanitarian help that we've got in November and December, and it is still being distributed from the Odessa Center number 46. And this Canadian uniform and fatigues does need some warmer. In order to provide for warmth for a fighter, we still need some warmer. And at the moment, several charity organizations and groups agreed to help us. One of the teams is the team of Vadym Kodachigov. We are very grateful to him as he comes with his team and his projects to help armed forces of Ukraine in dire moments. And before we put the manufacture and delivery of combat fatigues with the help of the capacities that the Ministry of Defense has. Such guys as Vadym Kodachigov help us very much, very well. I'm very grateful to him, and will take those fleece jackets and and tomorrow I'll go to the anti-terrorist operation zone. I will be conducting codification there of the Canadian humanitarian help, and here we will have 200 fleece jackets, and will provide 2 companies with them. So I'm very glad that we do receive this support. Thank you.
Now I would like to give the floor to Georgi Tuka, the head of Narodny Tyl Group. Our organization is doing what is needed for volunteer descent. First of all, I would like to thank those who designed the concept of this initiative. On the way here, I've been thinking that this project is really very valuable. On the one hand, we promote our young artists and designers who participated in design of all these textiles, which are for sale. On the other hand, those people who buy these goods, they are promoters themselves. And also we are helping our warriors to improve their life, and that is impressive. 200 servicemen, not 20, but 200 will receive this warm and comfortable clothing. And also what was quite unexpected for me, but I welcome this initiative, all the money that we receive, all the contracts are given to our Ukrainian companies, and that allows our Ukrainian companies to give salaries to people, and that is also very valuable. And I do hope that thanks to your coverage of this project in the mass media, more and more people will participate in that project. And eventually we will maybe move to some more fundamental things, like purchasing Javelin, or maybe the cruiser in Moskva River. Thank you, Vadym, as the initiator and as the engine of the project. Now, together with Bohdan Kovalyov, we will sign this transfer act. It's in 2 copies. One will be given to a group volunteers descent to the Ministry of Defense, and another one to Voyenprom. I would like to show the goods which we make. These are the ties with national symbols of Ukraine, and there's a small kerchief which goes together with the tie, the T-shirts with national prints, and the scarf, and that is all designed by Alona Symbol, and that is a new Mazepinka hat. That's the first one. I received it just now. Mostly Dnipropetrovsk, Odessa, Kiev, Kharkov, Lvov participate in this project. All our goods are all over Ukraine. You can buy them via internet, or there is a website, not just for yourself, не тільки для себе, and that's where you can buy all these goods. And all the profit goes to buy the uniforms. And also yesterday, the first batch of our goods went to Poland yesterday, when Polish saw that they appreciated both the design and the quality. And so this week, our first batch goes to Canada. The Canadians are helping us with sending us humanitarian assistance, and we are helping them, sending the Ukrainian symbols on goods. And I hope that very soon half of the population of Canada will be wearing the things with our Ukrainian symbols. And the final objective of this project is to make our light industry export and not the import. We want our companies to send their products and to show their products to the United States and Europe so that we replace Chinese goods. I believe that soon people will be proud that they are buying these things not from China, not made, the goods not made in China but made in Ukraine. So this is the first transfer act, and the second one, the second event we are organizing is raising money for making footwear. I do hope that Ukrainian symbols will be distributed and will go to different countries of the world. Any questions? Channel 5. I have a question, very simple one. Just where can a regular citizen buy these things so that this way they help the army but not whoever? Yeah, we have the understanding, we understand that there are so many pseudo volunteers, more than volunteers. There's a website. The website is не тільки для себе, not just for yourself, не тільки для себе. And there's a link there to the shops partners. In Kiev, in Lviv, there are all these shops indicated with phone numbers. And that's where you can buy these things. Or you can buy it via internet. You can place an order in internet and pay it in the internet, and we send it to any place in Ukraine. It's all automated. You just push the button to buy and you can buy it. We decided not just to do what many people are doing, raising money, but we are now are not requesting money from people. We are involved in social partnership because people buy T-shirts and bags and shawls for themselves, and we just are selling such things. But all the profit goes to buy things for the ATO servicemen.
You said that manufacturers are earning money on this. Is there a zero profitability? There is a profitability of 5 to 7%. Can you tell us what manufacturers you're talking about? Yes, here are half of the people there. A Dnipropetrovsk entrepreneur, and fleece jackets were done by a entrepreneur from Kharkiv and another from Kiev. These T-shirts are made in Kiev, and there are also people from Poltava and other cities. We look for them on sites. We talk to them and agree with them on reductions. The designers are Ukrainian as well. They develop designs, and then we place the orders and commissions, and we get these goods. When fleece jackets were first made in Turkey, as far as I remember, and they said that only they from that fleece can sew normal fleece jackets. You know, I didn't take part in those debates about who can manufacture fleece jackets. This is good fleece. And with the first 3,000 fleece jackets, Canadians have helped us, you know, privately. They have donated money to a charity foundation that commissioned 3,000 fleece jackets from Turkey, and they were passed on, transferred to Desna training center, where the fighters got them, were handed those fleece jackets. I can't tell you at the moment, because it's not I who will solve this issue. This will be collectively with the representatives of the rear of the Ministry of Defense and the Department of Purchases, but I think that we have to close the needs, to satisfy needs of several companies, not to distribute it among many units, but just to satisfy the need of 2 companies. Another question. Georgi, you have just started this work, so what are your plans now? Do you mean which projects we will order? We have just talked between ourselves about this. The situation is very dynamically changing now, and we cannot even plan for a week or 2 ahead. Maybe this is going to be footwear, maybe raincoats. We'll see how the situation changes. Because Bohdan told you that at the moment we have some stock of military uniform and combat fatigues in the stored at the Ministry of Defense. If we manage to provide for the logistics from the depots to the front line, we will just be thankful to Canadians and our colleagues, and will direct our efforts to other things. We have to think about summer uniform at the moment. Look, my aim as one of the volunteers at the Ministry of Defense, as I am responsible for material supplies, and I also inspect the units on how the fighters are provided, I see some trend that because of non-alignment between different volunteer organizations, they buy what is already there at the Ministry of Defense. So my task is to organize the cooperation between the volunteers within the rear service of the Ministry of Defense to provide for the urgent needs, not just because we don't want to do this or we sabotage, but the light industry does not always fit the needs of the army. As you know, that the needs have increased manifold, and the paradox is that the budget has money for this, but we lack capacities. In many cases, we cannot organize the production and manufacture of these combat fatigues. So we will work with volunteer organizations in order to avoid replicating our efforts, and I want to tell you with all the responsibility that there's a rather big amount of combat fatigues and uniforms at the depots, storages of the Ministry of Defense. It comes and goes directly to the front line. So I want to offer the volunteers to cooperate with myself, because we already have an experience when one telephone call solved problems whose price would be several million hryvnia. And listen, guys, if we were collecting those several million hryvnia as volunteers, this would take us a lot of time, and now we can use some administrative leverage. And of course, as a public servant, I cannot use such wording, but we do stir the supply system. Thank you very much. If there are no other questions, then we thank you. We wish you success. Please come to us, and our next